Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. And last week I had talked about the fact that I've been going really easy on buying makeup lately. I haven't done a whole lot of it. And I kind of wanted to discuss that further. I mentioned that I would discuss it a little bit more in detail. To start with, I guess, when I first started my makeup journey, which was about 4 years ago, not that it's really a journey, when I first started my makeup journey. When I started getting into it big time, I was wanting to build my collection because I really didn't have much of anything for years, like basically until I turned about 43, 44. I always used my mom's hand-me-down makeup, so I basically didn't spend any money at all on makeup. So I've made up for lost time in the past few years. Basically I got to a point where I was really wanting to experiment and get more creative and really hone my skills in the area of makeup. So at that point, I started wanting to buy more, especially in the area of shadow palettes, that kind of stuff. So I remember the very first expensive fancy palette I got was for my birthday. I had asked my husband if he would get me the Naked 2 palette by Urban Decay. And that was my very first palette, and I had that for years and years, like probably 2-3 years, and that's all that I used. So pretty much used the whole entire thing up. Then when I started to, check out YouTube and grow in the area of makeup and doing makeup, all that kind of stuff, I started to want to get into more color and experiment with, explore the brands, that sort of thing. So as such, I started buying quite a few palettes, and it was really fun, really exciting. And I still love getting a new palette. Like, it's a bit of a rush. But about last year, I had collected enough makeup that not only did I have pretty much every color I would want, but it had maxed out the amount of space that I had for makeup storage. And so then a person has to go, okay, well, what do I want to expand my makeup storage? Do I want to give away these palettes and buy new ones? Like, what do I want to do? And, for the most part, I still liked the palettes I was using. They weren't the newest, latest thing, but they still had lots of use in them. And I had gotten to the point too where, it wouldn't be possible for me to actually use all the palettes that I had even in a week. So then I'm like, okay, I can continue to collect makeup if I choose to do that, which to a certain extent I'm willing to do because I think it's fun and I really enjoy that sort of thing. So I don't think there's any harm in that, but I don't want to get on the crazy train. And with that being said, if you're on the crazy train and it's something that you really love doing as far as buying every palette that's out there, I think that that's fine. Like lots of people, like some people love shoes. Some people, my dad, he loves horses. So he collects horses kinda. Everybody is different in what they love and want to collect. Some girls collect china. Some people collect earrings or jewelry or perfume. For me, it would be makeup. So from that perspective, I don't think it's terrible to buy lots of different things, want to continue a collection. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for me, makeup is not quite that. So there's nothing really that I would want to get where it's like, oh, I just have to have that right now. So springtime came around and I started looking at different palettes and stuff. And some of them were really nice. I loved the Subculture one, and that's the one we're going to be talking about today. I loved the new Sweet Peach Matte palette. Just different ones like that I was like, oh, I'd love to get this. I'd love to get that. But honestly, I didn't want to spend the money. That's the bottom line. Like, I didn't want to spend another $55 on a palette that would essentially be replicating shadows I already had. To me, I just couldn't justify that. So then I started thinking, okay, what can I do? Because certain palettes will come out on the market, like the Subculture palette. Now that's the one that really caught my attention. And I absolutely love the shades in it. I love Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. I think the shadows are incredible. And so I thought to myself, ooh, I really want that Subculture palette. I can't remember the price Canadian. I think it's $55. You know, I watched a bunch of reviews on it. Lots of them were super negative. I went into the store and swatched it. I didn't seem to think that it was quite as bad as people were saying. I talked to the staff at Sephora. One person hated it, just hated it. Most really liked the palette. So then I'm like, okay, well, whether it's good or bad, like the beauty of Sephora is if I bought it, I could return it. But there were just a few shadows that really caught my attention. One being like that I didn't have in my collection really at all. So one was that kind of greeny color. I can't remember the name of it on the palette. It's in the top right-hand corner. But I absolutely loved it. And it was kind of a teal, bluey, greeny color. I'd never seen a color like that. And it really got my, like creatively speaking, I really got excited about that shade. And then there was kind of a mustardy color, which I thought I could probably replicate in my collection. The rest of the colors, for the most part, I had, and lots of them, you know, I wouldn't necessarily use. So it was just mainly that green and then, you know, the yellow that maybe I didn't have. So I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? I don't wanna spend $55 just on that. So I went into Sephora, swatched on my arm that specific color, and then went over to MAC and looked for a single eyeshadow. I looked at Makeup Forever first and saw, you know, thought maybe I could find one there. But then I went over to MAC and I found this one right here, and it is called Plumage, and I'll pull it out. So the MAC shadows in Canada are $8. And this is this Plumage color to me was almost an exact dupe for that color, that greeny color, matte color in the Subculture palette. It's super pigmented. It certainly wasn't as pigmented as that Anastasia Beverly Hills one, because that was incredible. But it is very pigmented and very close to the same color. So, you know, I decided to just buy a single shadow, and prior to me buying a whole bunch of palettes, I always said buying a single shadow is ridiculous because you can buy a whole palette, get a bunch of different colors, but that was again when I didn't have colors to play with. So buying single eyeshadows of all the colors that I would need would cost more than buying a palette. But once you've jump-started your collection and you've got a whole bunch of palettes, then buying single shadows that kind of complement the rest of your collection to me makes sense. So this was $8 versus, you know, buying a whole palette for $55. I wanted to do this. So I bought this one, and then I had the Kat Von D palette, which at first, whoa, it's the Vida Loca palette from a few Christmases ago. And I really like this one. And to begin with, I was mixing this and this green together to kind of get this shade. So I could have done it without even buying this, but it wasn't quite the same. So I bought this, and then I thought, well, this color, this is kind of a mustardy yellow, so that would work for, it's again, not an exact dupe, but it would give me similar. And then I have some cool tone shadows. This one works for one of them. It's not quite as cool, but I've got lots of browns, lots of taupes, different things like that that I can work with that, you know, can get me a look similar to the Subculture one. So, said all that to say, I am going to do a look that I think dupe would be a dupeable look from the Subculture palette using the shadows that I currently own. So I could have pulled in, I've got the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and it has kind of a taupey color that would work really similar to the color in Subculture. I'm not going to bother with that today, but I'm going to use this one for the yellow. I'm gonna use my MAC one, and then I'm gonna use my Morphe color to get kind of that fudge, my 35O. And I've got several palettes that, you know, I've got kind of a fudgy color. Again, the Kat Von D palette has that fudgy color, so I could have used that. But I'm gonna use this color, I think kind of a mixture of this one and this one, to get kind of that fudge color from the Subculture palette. And we're gonna do a really dark green or tealy smoky eye. So I guess we'll just get started. Okay, so I started by priming my eyes, and I used the Milani shadow primer, and then I just powdered them. And I've decided, instead of using the 35O palette, I'm going to use my Kat Von D palette. So I'm going to use this one for the taupey shade, and then also this color for kind of, it's very similar to that fudge shade. Or I think it is anyway. It's pretty close. So I'm going to start by putting this taupey shade right here. And again, the idea of this is you find what works in your collection that's similar to these. It doesn't have to be this palette. And that's the thing. That's actually the reason why I don't use the names and stuff. But we'll just say a taupey shade, because you know, not everybody has this palette, but what palette do you have, or what shadow do you have that's kind of similar, is kind of what I think. Those are my 2 cents. Did you like them? Did you like my 2 cents? Okay, so we're gonna go in with this taupey shade to start with, and we're gonna just put that in the crease. And now I'm gonna go into this bright yellow color. Actually, I'm gonna mix the bright yellow in this Noble shade, just to kind of dirty up the yellow a bit. And it's really pretty bright, so I'm just gonna go really light. Now that I've got that yellow on, what I'm gonna do is go into this matte paint pot that I have in Constructivist, and it's just kind of a brown shadow. I'm just gonna use this as a base on my lid. I just find that using a darker base just helps dark matte shadows to apply a little bit better. Okay, now that I've got that base on, I'm just gonna kind of blend it a little bit. Just blend it up. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with this Plumage shade, and I'm gonna apply this all over my lid. And I'm just gonna apply it to the mobile lid. And what you do is you just, with a color that's dark like this, you just go in, start light, and just work your way. Just keep putting it on until you get it to where you want it. And I always, like, I'm not brushing across it. I'm just literally tapping the brush in like that, and then going on the eye. Okay, so that's about where I want it. Now you get a little bit of fallout with shadows like this. So I just use my fallout brush. And this I bought from Walmart. It's the still brush, and it's a duo fiber. So it's really light here on top. So that's what we have so far. So it's basically the yellow and the blue. Now I've seen people blend the bluey green color up into the crease. I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to take another little fluffy brush, just a smaller one. And I'm going to go, I'm just skipping the Morphe one altogether. And I'm going to go into this rich color right here in the Kat Von D, right there. And again, any kind of fudgy brown color will work. And I'm going to point my brush, instead of pointing it up, because I don't want it to floof majorly up. I want to keep the dark part pretty low. I'm gonna point my brush, I'm gonna just go on the outer perimeter of that green, and I'm just going to blend that then into the yellow just slightly. I'm gonna take my Morphe M200 and I'm going to point down again. I'm gonna start on that yellow shade and then I'm gonna just blend it. I wanna blend these together. So that's what I've got so far. Now, I'm gonna just take that first blending brush that I used for the yellow. I'm gonna go back into the yellow and just put it on the outer edge and just go straight yellow this time, just to kind of bring that yellow shade out a bit. Now I'm gonna go back in over the teal in a few seconds, but first of all, I'm gonna do my lower lash line. Actually, before I do that, what I'm gonna do is line my eyes, and I'm gonna line them pretty heavily because this is a super dark look today. So I'm gonna use my Maybelline Eye Studio gel liner, and it's in the blackest, it's called Blackest Black. And I've been really liking this for tight lining and all of it. For whatever reason, it's just been really working for me. I had one day where it kind of bunched up. I don't know if my eyes were really watery or what, but I just take it and I just dip right in using the brush that comes with it. I just think it works really good. Okay, now when you're doing a look like this, the one thing that you want to make sure of is that you don't have any light space in between your lashes, like what you've lined, and it's got to be all dark. So I'm gonna take extra time and just really work this into the lash line. I'm gonna line the top of my eye as well. So I have kind of like a black band all the way, and then we're gonna go in with that that blue shadow over top of it, but it'll just deepen it up and kind of make it like a gradient. So I'm gonna use this on my lower like waterline as well. Okay, so I've done that. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna run this underneath, and I wanna really make sure that there's no patches that are kind of lighter in there. I want to get it all nice and smoky. Now that I've got my eyes lined in black and they're super dark, now I'm going to go into this shadow again, and I'm going to just take it on the waterline to set that black, and I also want it to have kind of that tealy color. So this will help set it, but will help kind of change the color a bit too. Then I'm going to take this color and go right over top of all the black underneath. Okay, now I'm going to take a really tiny detailing brush and I'm going to go into that, like I'm basically going to just copy this. So I'm going to go into that fudgier color right up here and just go right underneath. Okay, so right underneath I've gone with that fudgy color. It just kind of deepens it and warms it up a little bit. Okay, and then the last thing I'm gonna do is go in with just a different brush. It's a little bit fluffier than the last one, and I'm going to use that yellow color right underneath. I'm gonna be really careful because I don't want it to get crazy. So I just put just a hint of yellow underneath. Now I'm gonna just go back into this Plumage color all over the lid. I'm just gonna use a detailing brush just to intensify. I'm gonna go right over the black. Okay, so to finish off the look, I'm going to just use this light shade, just kind of a mixture of this one and this one, just up here. And then for my inner corner highlight, I'm going to use the color Neon by MAC. So I'm going to put lashes on and then I will be right back. Okay, so as far as this look is concerned, looking at some of the different tutorials that I've seen, this is really darn close to anything that you could do with the Subculture palette. And this was the look that was particularly grabbing my attention. Like the idea of using that color was really, like, I really wanted to try do that. And I think it's a neat twist on a bluish smoky eye. The other thing, sorry, I'm just looking at myself here. You know, you get that yellowy effect. I tried it as well, where I just used the Plumage color in the crease and, you know, went a little bit more neutral on the lid, and that also looked really cool. So using the yellow and that teal color, getting kind of a neat crease look, we're keeping the rest of the eye kind of basic. So if you guys would like to see that tutorial, I could show it to you as well. If you have the Subculture palette, tell me what you think of it, because I still am really intrigued by the palette. I just thought it was really neat as far as colors were concerned. I hadn't seen anything like that in a palette, and it really, it got me creatively excited again. So yeah, I solved that by buying this MAC Plumage, and I'll link I'll put the name in the description for you. Yeah, I thought this one was the closest dupe. But the key is to use the stuff that's in your own collection. You know, I don't want to just buy because it's new. I want to buy it because it's something that I love and that I know I'll get use out of. So that's kind of where I'm at. Again, everybody's different. If you like collecting makeup and you want to do that, that's cool. I love collecting makeup too. But just thinking from a space perspective and also a financial perspective, I can't justify it right now. Now, when I move, and if I've got more room and that sort of thing, and the money, then maybe I'll buy some more things. So tell me what you think of that. Like, where are you guys at in your makeup journeys? Like, are you just wanting to buy all the new stuff coming out? Or are you kind of wanting to pause? I guess too, because all of a sudden it's kind of like everything just amped up, and there's, like, in the past, lots of cool Christmas things come out, and I still love the Christmas stuff so much, but you know, every makeup brand, Tarte just all of a sudden exploded with different products. Anastasia Beverly Hills exploded, Too Faced exploded with products, and so like, I just can't possibly use them all. I would love to be on a PR list. Like, that would be amazing, because, you know, some of those girls on YouTube, they get so many cool things. I think that's awesome, you know. But for the average Joe, that's just not reality. So yeah, I'm trying to make do with what I have, and then pull in colors that kind of excite me from collections, see if I can dupe them, and that sort of deal. So anyway, this is the look I got. I guess that's it. That's all I have to say. Tell me what your thoughts are below. Yeah, and again, there's no, it's just about me and where I'm at, and wanting to be responsible with my money, wanting to be responsible with my space, if that makes sense, and also making sure that I actually use the products I have rather than just literally forgetting about them because I just keep buying new stuff, to, you know, the newest, latest, greatest thing. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I guess that's it. I guess that's the end of my story. And I'm sticking to my story. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not tempted on a regular basis and go into Sephora all the time and try stuff on, but that's where I'm at right now. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Just do it. Just hit that little button and subscribe. And other than that, that's it. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.